Katrin Salas, who scored the goal against Kosovo in that first game, and she scored a hat-trick the last time Estonia competed in the European qualifiers as well, when they picked up their only victory against Armenia.
Certainly one to keep an eye on in white this afternoon then, but Estonia will have the first opportunity to test the goalkeeper, which they very much have not taken. I think a wind-assisted cross from the far side coming to Scotland's aid. It's well taken by Anderson. He has the confidence to breeze past a few, but just halted in our tracks. It's an awkward one there for Anderson. A promising player at Hearts.
Definitely does feel like London Power just with that position in there, and when Shauna Cowan was trying to play that ball through, is pushed a little bit wider than she was on Tuesday night, so using her pace I think is something that Scotland will definitely certainly look to do.
Anderson clipping one in. Couldn't be taken in by Hutchison. Maybe this time Scotland can profit from the slip. Pollard. She had options, couldn't find either. I think Pollard scored against Wales the last time the girls met up, but she'll have been disappointed not to stick away a chance or two against Kazakhstan the other night. She may well be eager to right that wrong this afternoon.
Yeah, in the first half she maybe had a couple of opportunities she would have wanted to get in the end of, but she played a key role in that opening goal, and I think that opening goal was a good sign of how Scotland can break down Estonia, as they did against Kazakhstan and as they did against Wales in that friendly, through those kind of balls from deep from Bailey Hutchison in particular.
Inadvertently back to Bush on the left side for Estonia. Good pressing from Leicester. And Pollard breezes past their marker. Just a bit too much on the long ball for Leicester.
Maybe would have liked to see London just progress with the ball a little bit further up the park before releasing that one, but it's good to see she seems to be getting past our fullback marker at the moment.
Anderson trying to switch on the turbo to keep that in play. Away with a second bite. Now Anderson back to Celtic's left back, putting Cowan in a spot of bother, but the Hearts defender anticipates well. And that one goes to a white shirt from Bowie, and Kenzie Weir, daughter of David, following in her old man's footsteps, pulling on a national team jersey. High hopes for Kenzie Weir, made her Everton debut earlier this season, starting again alongside Jess Broderick this afternoon. Pollard not fouled. The Estonians will proceed. Reno looking to create the angle for the shots, and eventually the cross comes to nothing. Warning signs for Scotland though, Chris.
Yeah, I've just been thinking the last couple of minutes, Estonia definitely offering a lot more than Kazakhstan have already. one of the ways that Kazakhstan had a little bit of success on Tuesday night was high press, and Estonia have started that way, and they're a little bit more comfortable in the ball and willing to go with it. So things just Scotland maybe just been a little bit sharper at the moment, but there's still plenty of time.
They've won a free kick here. Hudsey clattering into Weir just as she'd played the ball forward. I think probably a relief to Scotland because the ball went straight to a white shirt. And there's Bowie dropping the shoulder. And Anderson almost taking it in her stride. Well won by Thompson. Setting Anderson on her way. She's also spent time with the senior squad, Tegan Bowie. Her and her Celtic teammate Rachel Johnston, who's in the Scotland goal this afternoon. Called up recently for Pedro Martinez Losa's squad. Plenty of time ahead of them though.
Yeah, I think both call-ups, the expectation probably was that they wouldn't be getting minutes, but for them to be involved in that setup, to be with some of the players that they would have looked up to and played alongside as well, will certainly have helped in their development kind of going forward.
That was a killer touch from McAllister to start the Scotland attack, and Pollard will have to try and keep it going here. Lister and her getting in a tangle. Showing good awareness, Eva Thompson. And that's easy for Cushman and the Estonian goal to gather.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how Eva Thompson settles in today. I think she's probably, with Bailey taking so many of the headlines up at Aberdeen, I think she's one of the players that's maybe goes a little bit unsung, but in centre midfield she's got great composure. She's built on a physicality this season as well, and she's not afraid to put a boot in, and as you can see just now, she's calm when she's in possession, even with people around about her.
Yeah, the Estonians will give her space at their peril. She's got tremendous close control. Eva Thompson, good brain. Bowie on the underlap. Lisa's up there as well, but Bowie will try her alone. Just too close to the Estonian goalkeeper. Lister was loitering. It's the first real show of intent though that Scotland have shown. Yeah,
that's exactly what Tegan Bowie can bring to the mix. She's always looking to kind of hit that touchline even from deep, and that, as you mentioned, the underlap there with Amy Anderson, certainly something that we look to do again.
Reno infield. Hutchison helping out our holding midfielders. That was a crunching tackle from Tyrn, who's come off worse here in the clash with Shona Cowan. A hard but fair challenge from the left winger has left her in a crumpled heap. Always unsettling to see when it's almost innocuous like that, Chris.
Yeah, you're never entirely sure exactly what's happened in the coming together. She's kind of stayed there. It looks like she's starting to start, though it's maybe just been a wee shock in the contact, and she looks like she's going to be okay.
I think she's whacked her head off the turf as she slid in for the tackle.
Yeah.
She'll be given a check over. Yeah, there we go. Ice pack on the temple. So Estonia down to 10 momentarily.
The last couple of minutes, I think Scotland have started to impose themselves a little bit more in the game. I think continuing that though is going to be important. Estonia still looking to press high, and if we can break those high presses, then that's when opportunities will come from, particularly from the midfield areas.
McAllister looking to cushion one for our Hearts teammate. Oh, sorry, my mistake, that was Hutchison. What can Estonia fashion here from the throw? It's Schwandi with the ball in her hands. Oh, flat delivery. And it could create trouble because Estonia are in, and Estonia have taken the lead. It's Hoodsey for the visitors. And this wasn't the way that Scotland saw the game going. And it's hard to say, they don't deserve the opening goal, Chris.
I think it's been an even first half and first 10-15 minutes, and I think Estonia have pushed high, and it feels like that was maybe a little bit too easy, that the throw in was coming in from that side, and it's gone straight into the mixer. It's been a nice knock on, and then maybe a little bit too easy to get that turn with two defenders getting drawn to the ball, and it's a nice finish by Hoodsey. So I think, yeah, it's probably maybe a wee jolt that Scotland maybe needed after a kind of passive, maybe open 10-15 minutes.
And the ball very much in Scotland's court now. Managed to score 3 against Kazakhstan earlier this week. They had to wait a wee while, mind you, to get the opening goal. Came eventually through Leila Lister towards the end of the first half. But the Estonians have looked and are proving comfortable in possession, trusting their own ability so far.
I think the big difference from the Kazakhstan game already is with the Estonian press, it's not just chasing, it's chasing with a view to get the possession and then moving forward.
Here goes Broderick. There's a real Aberdonian spine to the team this afternoon. Broderick in defence, Thompson in deep midfield, and Hutchison in attacking midfield. They've enjoyed a good season in SWPL 1, Aberdeen. We approach the end of the season.
Yeah, that spine in itself. I mean, Bailey Hutchison, we talked about on Tuesday, had scored 18 goals already domestically this season. Eva Thompson's in 5 as well. So they're really making contributions. It's not just young players getting minutes. They're important to the Aberdeen success at the moment.
The diagonal balls for Pollard not coming off as yet. That's us a third of the way through the opening 45. Let's see, for Estonia, the difference maker as it stands. And there's Tern, who took the head knock not so long ago, back on her feet now, no problems. Winning possession back as well. Scotland looking to turn over. Here goes Thompson for Pollard. Keeps her feet. Cross comes in and gathered well by Krusman in the Estonian goal.
It was a nice move that. It actually started Rebecca McAllister recovering the ball deep in the centre circle, and Eva Thompson bringing the ball forward, and London again getting wide. Just that ball just a little bit too close to the keeper, but I think those recoveries from deep are going to be how we can set off our attacks and a far quicker momentum.
That's exactly where Eva Thompson likes the ball, space to run into, options wide. She's got the intelligence and the ability to pick out the passes. Well, the Estonians making a nuisance of themselves again. And the Scotland third, well defended this time. Bowie for Lister. And that's a lovely ball in behind for Anderson, who hasn't beaten the offside trap. It looked like she had. Really good interplay regardless on the left side for Scotland, Chris.
Yeah, that was a lovely touch and turn by Leila Lister, and Amy will be disappointed not to have kept the line. I think that was something that, particularly towards the back end of the game against Kazakhstan, we were getting caught out with quite a lot. And from that side, you'd always want your winger coming in from the side to be able to look along there. But again, shows that that's what Leila Lister can bring to this front line. Her hold-up play and bringing others into the game is so key to this.
Cowan and McAllister, the Hearts duo, trading passes. Weir. Pass intercepted. She was looking for the run of Anderson down the left.
Estonia haven't really given Scotland an easy into the game against Kazakhstan. They had that option down the right hand side which they were able to use to bring in other things as the game progressed. Against Estonia so far, it's been a case of them having to really work the space, and hopefully over time they'll figure the rhythm to kind of get through that.
And Pauline Hamill did say that this camp is really about developing the squad and the style of play, but if there are realistic aspirations to go on and qualify for the next tournament, Scotland really need to. They've got plenty of time to do it, but they can't really afford to let a game like this slip.
No, the expectation will be to hopefully get out of this group, and to do that we have to win these games, and that'll be the target that would have been set at the start of the qualifier. That's a good from Leila Lister.
She's done well to fend off her marker. The ball's cut back for Hutchison. Estonia putting bodies on the line. Here's Thompson now, shot blocked, and anywhere will do for the visitors. Defending in the 20th minute like it's the last. Thompson showing good awareness again. Here comes Broderick. Anderson just deceived. Her and Bowie. Well, one of them will keep it in. Anderson's done so. Bailey Hutchison going for goal and scoring! Well, it really shouldn't come as a surprise. That was marvellous.
3 from 3 from Bailey Hutchison for Scotland Under-19s, and again, I was just about to comment how much more involved Amy Anderson has been in this opening 20 minutes than maybe she was in the opening stage of the Kazakhstan game, and that's really good play from her. And Bailey, I think it's maybe as much the quickness to take that shot. She almost takes it on the run, which maybe has caught the Estonian keeper out a little bit, but again, Bailey Hutchison in around that penalty box is just is lethal for club and country at the moment.
18 goals domestically for Aberdeen, and tallying up more in dark blue as well. Scotland back in level terms. The Estonians trying to respond straight away. It's Reno on the left hand side, dispossessed by Bowie. Kenzie Weir living life on the edge.
Everybody loves a bit of danger.
Broderick keeps things a bit more simple. Nice turn from the goalscorer Hutchison. Pollard was McAllister's target.
I hope that settles the team down a little bit, because you can see when we get our foot in the ball and try and work through the phases that we can get through those lines, and that's how we're going to do it. We can obviously try those big progressions, and they will work on the big switch, but I think, as we can see just now, those 2-3 one-touch passes can really make the difference, and that's just cut the back of London Pollard's heroes as we see them through.
Scything through the Estonian team there. Scotland unfortunate not to eventually get a crack at goal. And Scotland finished bottom of a group containing Austria, Netherlands and Ukraine in round 1 of the qualifiers. Left ruining that last minute equaliser that Ukraine scored against them, which ultimately made the difference. Here goes Thompson down the left. In for Lister. No penalty claims.
I think she just got caught in her feet just a little bit there. It was a nice first touch, but then she couldn't get her other ankle out the way in time. But again, good to see Eva Thompson progressing with that ball and then moving into the space that she's created for herself there.
Little problem for Estonia's goal scorer here, Hudsey. And 7 teams will join the host nation of the Under-19 Euros in late June. That's the Czech Republic. All the games being held over there. And the 7 group winners of the groups in Section A will head through. Scotland currently in Section B after the relegation. But if they win this group with Kazakhstan, Kosovo and Estonia, they will head back up. Yeah, you can't give the ball a yellow card, can you, Chris?
Unfortunately not, no. But as you mentioned, it's about getting into that League A section, and it'll be incredibly tough if we do get there. And I think the expectation should be that it'll be used as much of a development as hopefully an opportunity to test ourselves against the best sides.
Well, of course, it's always going to have to beat the best sides to play among them, and eventually to get to the final stage. But you want to play against the best teams. It helps the development of the girls, and also the qualifying stages are quite small, so you never know if you can put 2 or 3 results together.
You've always got, as I was saying quite a lot on Tuesday, and I'll be saying again next Tuesday when Scotland plays Spain at Hampden, you've got to believe. If you don't go into a game believing you can win it and pull off the big wins, then you shouldn't really be playing it. And I think this is why it's so exciting to be involved in international football, because every team has a moment.
Could well see Patricia Guijaro for Spain next week against Scotland. She scored the winner against Scotland back in the 2017 Under-19 finals. She's one of the Barcelona players performing in front of sold-out Camp Nou crowds now. Look at their semi-final against Wolfsburg coming up.
I was fortunate enough to be there for the Real Madrid game, and I can honestly say it was probably the most emotive experience I've had as a neutral at a game of football before. It was a fantastic occasion, as you mentioned. To see them sell that game out again is brilliant.
Oh, Scotland are in. Here's Pollard. Can she keep her composure? It comes back for Lister, and the keeper recovers well. Chrisman atoning for her error, which created the opportunity for Scotland, and Lister, unfortunate not to find the back of the net, kept her finish down.
It was good to see, though, London Pollard didn't panic there. She took the moment to try and get the ball in. It didn't happen.
Maybe this time, and again the goalkeeper saves Lister with 2 in quick succession.
Maybe feel like she could have done a little bit better with that second one. Obviously the first effort's very well saved, but she had a bit of space, and maybe just couldn't decide where she was going to put it, and it's made it an easy save. But again, promising to see that's 2 chances in the space of a minute, and we are now starting to break them down. We've kind of unjigged the Rubik's Cube a little bit.
Yes, the balance of play has swung in Scotland's favour since the equalising goal went in. Lovely dinked finish of sorts, I would say, from Bailey Hutchison over Chrisman in the Estonian goal. Anderson for Lister, whose feet couldn't quite move quickly enough. And that's a great ball for Pollard, who can make it 2-1. And again Chrisman comes to the rescue of the Estonians. But then they shoot themselves in the foot. All the goalkeeper's good work undone, in the blink of an eye.
London.
And it's an own goal from Stalfelt, the centre mid, back to help out our defence, and only succeeding in making things worse.
That ball over to London Pollard's been getting used quite a lot, and again Bailey Hutchison's so involved. Brilliant by London. First of all, potential. She got pushed a little bit wide, and it was a good save, but again she kind of took the time, had a wee look there, which you can see, and then just get the ball over into the net, and then a bit of a swing, and yeah, that's not one that Estonians will want to be looking again anytime soon.
Well, they started the game so well, the Estonians. And there we go, the score in the top left amended. That one was in the wrong net from the visiting team. I mean, Scotland had been pressing for the second goal. A couple of chances for Lister. Gilt-edged opportunity for Pollard there before she eventually assisted the OG.
And it's obviously important now that Scotland continue with this momentum they have built, because it's taken a while to get it going in this game, and now that that's there, it's important to stay in the front foot. And you can already see that, again, similar to the Kazakhstan game, that Estonia have dropped back that little bit further than they were at the start of the game.
That's into Bowie's path. She's got room to roam into. So does Anderson. He was on the wrong side of the last line, or the penultimate line of the Estonian defence.
But even in this last 5 minutes or so, we've seen it come down Anderson's side, Pollard's side, and Eva Thompson driving through the middle. And that variety asks questions of the Estonian defence, and that's part of the reason why there were so many scrambling back for that second goal.
And Stalfelt had an important role to play in the goal at the other end. She was the one that flicked on the throw-in, which eventually landed in the path of Hoodsey, who kept her composure. Bowie, Lister, Anderson. No, she wasn't tracked, the Hearts winger. Couldn't get her foot to the ball.
She stopped and started that run there, and then she noticed the space, and then she just couldn't quite gather it, and you could see she was trying to spin and get away to get a ball across the 6-yard line. But again, good to see us progressing.
Here goes Anderson again. Heavily involved down the left-hand side for Scotland this afternoon. Her and Pollard seeing plenty of action. I think the craft and the industry of those in the central area of the park, allowing them to roam free down the wings. That wasn't what Broderick was looking for. She does have a good eye for a pass, Jess Broderick. Quite enjoys the measured diagonal into the path of the rampaging wingers. She's a good stature for a centre back, but she's good with her feet. Possibly even more so than with her physical attributes.
It's definitely one of the things you always see with Jess, is she is keen to step up, and whether that's driving forward to the halfway line by carrying the ball, or by, as you say, mentioning those big juicy diagonals, which, you know, when they come off they look absolutely tremendous.
She's had a few intercepted into the middle of the park this afternoon, but the passes to Pollard and Anderson have been on for most of the first half hour.
Yeah, I could do.
Here's Joandi. It's easy for Bowie to shepherd out. Thompson lets out a groan of frustration as that skips away from her. Estonia profited in the form of a goal from throw-in earlier. This one too deep to test the Scotland defence immediately. And Bowie does well again to shepherd the ball out of play. Well done, Teagues, the shout from the touchline. It's broken for the Estonians. Thompson, industrious as ever.
That's fantastic recovery work from Eva Thompson. She got that ball really high and it was really difficult to take it down, but to recover that and looks like set off an attack now is fantastic.
And Leicester's touch almost perfect.
You can feel it's just about coming for Leicester. She's had a few touches where you can see the idea and it's just got away from her a little bit, but she's been threading up the play nicely of leading that attack from the pivot point, and hopefully that's something that she continues to do.
She's linked up well on a couple of occasions with those joining her in attack. Looking to make it 2-2 for Scotland Under-19s this afternoon. Managed the opener against Kazakhstan. She's loitering in the middle here as Bowie crosses. A mix up between the Estonians. Falls for Thompson. Pollard.
Perhaps could have let that run there, London Pollard, but at the same time, I like it when a player doesn't backs himself to try and get past a player, and that's what she's done there. Unfortunately, it hasn't quite happened on that occasion, but again, it was nice to see a bit of composure on the edge of the box from Eva Thompson. Didn't quite come off this time, but it's good to see that we're taking our time when we're in these attacking areas.
Wonder what the future holds for London Pollard at Motherwell at the minute. She had a good loan spell at Partick Thistle as well from Celtic.
I think for a lot of the younger players that are playing regular minutes in the SWPL just now, the likes of Motherwell, Aberdeen, Hearts that we've talked about already as well, I think getting those regular minutes are probably as important now as getting a big move. I think a big move you can get lost in the shuffle, and that's maybe what happened to London a little bit when she moved from Forfar Farmington to Celtic, but regular minutes, I think you can see that development. I think the crop that are coming through at Aberdeen that are represented in the squad today is definitely a testament to those minutes really helping their development.
And Scotland very much in the ascendancy. And the Estonians didn't help themselves in the concession of this corner. Scotland good value for their 1-goal advantage, looking to make it 2 with 10 to go until the interval. Bowie's there as an option, and comes the cross though. The Estonians doing well to manoeuvre their way out of trouble. Good feet from Anderson, but she's frustrated with her pass for Tegan Bowie.
Just that final execution a couple of times is letting us down just now, but it's good to see that the ideas are there, and the ideas being there is half the battle. Just a wee switch over as well. Jess and Kenzie have switched sides in the centre back pairing. Jess usually plays on the right hand side, she's playing on the left now.
And she's comfortable sending that one for Anderson with her left foot as well. Lista steps in, and again Anderson hadn't recovered from the offside position quickly enough.
We talked about big juicy diagonals. That was a big juicy straight ball up to the top end of the park there. But again, that first wee touch by Layla Lister nearly breaks us through again. But again, Amy just caught on the wrong side of the line coming back.
Well, it looked like a Scotland ball. That's the way it's gone. It's been described as a dream by our Hearts manager, Eva Olid. Amy Anderson. And Bowie, with her distinctive running style, will see that one out safely for another Scotland goal kick. The Estonian threats dried up somewhat in the last 20 minutes, Chris.
Yeah, they seem to have dropped. I think it's probably more that we've actually come to the fore a little bit more as opposed to Estonia dropping off. You can see that they've got back to pressing a little bit higher, but we seem to have got better now about breaking the lines. And I think the work that Rebecca McAllister's doing maybe is just she keeps the ball ticking over. She doesn't hang about with it too much, and even if it's taking a step back to go forward, I think I've been impressed with the work she's been doing in this first half.
Starting for the Under-19s for the second time, Rebecca McAllister. That's a wayward one. Estonia looking to fight their way back onto level terms. Tiernan wouldn't release the ball, but it's broken for a teammate.
That's a great tackle by Shona Cowan.
Well, she had to be there. There is no domestic action this weekend in the SWPL. A couple of weekends off with the Scottish Cup last weekend and the international break this weekend. Nearing the end of the season. 5 games next weekend. Rangers very much the favourites to go on and win the league, but they do still have to play Glasgow City. That middle ground of the table so congested. Aberdeen, we've already mentioned, have 3 players in the starting lineup this afternoon. They may still harbour hopes of catching Hibs in 4th.
Aberdeen obviously came up from SWPL2 last season as champions, and with the way the league's been restructured, there's now a bit of a chase on for that second promotion from SWPL2, which is going on this weekend as well. So there is lots going on just now, which is good to see, to keep the season ticking over with the Scottish Cup semi-finals coming up as well. But obviously our focus is on Scotland at the moment.
That's a booking for Eva Thompson. And I don't think she can have any arguments whatsoever. They haven't threatened much since Scotland scored the equalising goal. Estonia, what can they do from the set piece? Now their team has really had opportunities from this position throughout. Tiernan stands over the ball. Harmless for Johnston, and the girls in front of her.
It's one of those ones from Tern where if it comes off it looks great, if it doesn't it looks like a bit of a wasted opportunity.
McAllister in a spot of bother. No bother for Johnston, no. That one drifting harmlessly wide.
that was the Estonian press so coming to fruition a little bit again there. We didn't quite get out quick enough, and we started to not panic a little bit, but we started to kind of go back in on ourselves, and that allowed them to kind of swarm to get on top of Rebecca McAllister, but the effort was tame.
It's Saulis on the ground for Estonia. They scored their goal against Kosovo on Tuesday. Looks like a little knee problem for the forward. Winning's not something the Estonians are used to at under-19 level. They went 18 games without a victory before they beat Lithuania last summer. They get off to a flyer here with Hoodsy's composed finish from the middle of the box. It's been one-way traffic for the last half hour. Scotland good value for their 2-1 lead at the moment, albeit the second goal coming from an Estonian. Stalfelt thumping the ball into our own goal after good work from Pollard down the right, it must be said.
Yeah, after the slow start, it's good to see that we did bounce back and we got that goal back, and then we could have had a couple more. I think Leah Lissa's obviously had a couple of chances that we've talked about already as well. So going into half time, sure Pauline will be happy that we've got ourselves back into a leading position and be looking to push on.
Ball breaks for Anderson. Pollard at the byline, well tracked by Bush. And maybe it will be Scotland finding the net again before the half-time break. Looks like a training ground plan for Pauline Hamill's girls. And the vital component of that though is the delivery, which wasn't up to scratch. Here goes Anderson. Good cut back. Wouldn't fall for Lister. Nobody there to take advantage for Scotland. That was gilt-edged.
Yeah, just needing another body in there potentially to get in the end of it, because it's really good play by Amy Anderson. She goes for the byline, gets the ball across, and the keeper can't really come for it. Digged out by the Estonian defence with the London Power lurking at the back post.
Hutchison wasn't far away. Cowan on the right. Pollard's pass astray, but she'll pick it up again. She fancies running into the space. And another corner won by London Pollard. The Estonians are having a hard time dealing with her threat down the right hand side. Yeah,
you get the sense that London feels like she's got the better of the Estonian defence on that side, and she could have spread the pay out, but she backed herself to get to the line. She couldn't quite get the ball in, but it's another corner for Scotland, which we've just caused some panic from.
Well, it's a wasted one. Whatever Anderson and Thompson were trying to conjure up, it wasn't that. And the half just parachuting to a gentle close here, or maybe a bit added on for a couple of injuries suffered by the Estonians and the 3 goals, of course. Leicester keen to get in the faces of the Estonian defence. Across comes Hutchison to help.
Bailey's been playing that a little bit further up than she did against Kazakhstan, and I think you've seen that, particularly with that pressing. Now she's on the ball here.
She's done well to find Lister. Back now, and so close to a spectacular second from Bailey Hutchison.
I mean, that's just a player with bags of confidence at the moment. She's obviously done well in the first instance to get the ball across to Leila Lister, who maybe hasn't been able to pivot on this occasion, but then to see that ball and think I'm going to go for the back post is a player absolutely brimming just now.
And so she should be after that finish for the equaliser. Left-footed edge of the box, top corner. The Estonians, on occasion, struggling to get out their own half. As we enter a 3rd minute of added time. Anderson, so comfortable with the ball at her feet. Roderick for Cowan. Does well to regain the ball. Pollard once more. Again, the Estonians struggle to clear. Eventually get the job done.
A lot of flailing legs in that Estonian defence when those cross balls comes in. It doesn't seem to be any certainty or somebody taking control, and I think that's something Scotland should certainly look to capitalise on in the second half.
It's a lovely layoff from Hutchison, sending Bowie on her way. And it will cross the byline for a Scotland corner. I'm surprised there's time for it to be taken. Into the 49th minute now. Scotland quite urgently looking for a third before the referee blows our whistle.
As a fan, that's something you love to see as well from your team, that they're not coasting to the break.
Now there it is. And Scotland can feel content about that 45 minutes work. Bailey Hutchison, one of the stars of the show in dark blue so far. Beautiful equaliser with the dinked finish into the top corner before Salfeldt's unfortunate own goal from an Estonian point of view put Scotland in front, but it's not been fortunate. Despite conceding the first goal, Scotland have been in control ever since Hutchison produced the equaliser. And to be honest, they probably feel they should be further ahead. Impressive performance, Chris?
Yeah, I think obviously the first 10-15 minutes it took a while to get into the game. The goal, I mean, I think we'll probably look at that before we get back to the second half, but I think it was maybe what got a little bit drawn to the ball, but I think from that moment on Scotland have dominated possession, dominated the play. I think Amy Anderson's probably been the pick in terms of the attackers, but Bailey Hutchison again so influential from the deep, and I think in the midfield that's where we're winning the key battles just now with Eva Thompson and Rebecca McAllister releasing the wing play of Anderson and London Pollard.
Well, we will have a look back at the best of the action from the first half shortly, but before that we'll just take a quick break and we'll look back at the goals from Scotland against Kazakhstan from Tuesday night.
on the clock, scoring for Scotland, number 9, Ina Lister.
Welcome back to the Scottish national team socials. Andy Barge and Chris Marshall bringing you live coverage of Scotland's under-19s women against Estonia. It's 2-1 to Scotland at half time. Let's have a wee look back, Chris, at how it all unfolded in the first half. And it didn't start all that well.
Yeah, it was a bit of a tame goal to concede, to be honest with you. A throw in from the side, and Jess and Rebecca get drawn to the ball, which allowed her to see the space, and she kind of toe pokes it past Rachel Johnson, and from that range it was very hard for Rachel to kind of stop that one.
Nobody followed Hudsey's run. It was good hold-up play as well from the Estonian forward. Good flick on.
I mean, the thing as well,
a less is more kind of goal, really.
Yeah, pretty much. It wasn't a complicated goal for the Estonians to score, as you mentioned. Hudson started that run from the edge of the area and wasn't really tracked going in, but Scotland obviously came back on the front foot.
And it was Bailey Hutchison who clipped one over the goalkeeper and into the top corner.
Again, it was good work from Amy Anderson, who's impressed a lot in this first half. Maybe caught offside a couple of times, but her dribbling and kind of pace down that side has got a difference, and her vision to have a wee look up to pass it to Bailey. And I think, as we said at the time, it was that kind of clip on the run hit that I think just maybe caught the keeper out. But again, fantastic skill from Bailey to make it 3 from 3 for the under-19s.
One tremendous goal scoring form for club and country, Bailey Hutchison. Layla Lister scored her first for Scotland the other evening against Kazakhstan. She's had a few opportunities this afternoon. This one was well saved by Krusman in the Estonian goal. And it wasn't long after that she had a slightly easier chance. Straight down the throat of the goalkeeper.
Yeah, it was a nice couple of minutes spare there for Layla Lister, and as you say, I think maybe that second one she would have hoped to do a little bit better.
And Pollard probably disappointed not to stick the chance away herself, but the second goal arrived anyway. Stalfelt left with her head in her hands, and she stuck that one beyond her goalkeeper. and Estonia's hard work was undone in a flash.
Yeah, it was a great ball from Bailey Hutchison to release London Pollard. She was pushed maybe a little bit wide and she still had the effort and goal, but again, we talked about it actually towards the back end of the half. Some player maybe would have let that run out, but she's kept on and kept the ball live, and from that it has led obviously to mistaken Staffel putting the ball into her own net to put us 2-1 up.
That's the way it stayed until half time. There was another opportunity though before the referee's whistle was blown. If you can call it an opportunity, it was more a moment of extreme intuition from Bailey Hutchison to take on the shot from the tight angle. Hard to assess just how far wide it went from there, but extreme confidence to take on the shot anyway. But there can be no debating really, Chris, that despite the slow start, Scotland have grown into the game, and there can be no debate about the value they have for the lead at the moment.
No, absolutely not. I think if you had asked me to be 2-1 up at half time after those 10-15 minutes, I think I would definitely have taken it. And to be honest with you, going in at half time, you maybe think we could have had another couple. I think we'll probably come out with the same mentality in that second half, and we may see a refresh from Estonia in that press that they started the game with, but I think we can again assert our authority early into the half and hopefully put ourselves in a really good position going into this final game against Kosovo.
Not to rest on laurels, but Pauline Hamill did freshen up the squad, well, the starting lineup anyway, for this afternoon's game. At what point do you think it would make sense to bring on some fresh legs, rest others, freshen things up a bit? If you look at the bench, there's some attacking and creative talent on there if Scotland want to go and put this game beyond doubt. Ailey Adams scores goal. Maria McInerney is a dangerous player.
Yeah, I think she'll probably give it at least 10-15 minutes. A third goal, well, I think will encourage those kind of changes, but looking back to that game against Kazakhstan, the likes of Addie Hanley and Maria McInerney, who dropped out for this game, had a huge impact in that game and were very key to that victory. So I think it'll be interesting to see when those players do come on. And you mentioned Ailey Adams, obviously since the last time we saw her play for Scotland, she scored that goal, had her 18th birthday, and now she's back on the bench, so I'm sure she'll be keen to get on the score sheet and get back on for the play as well.
Yes, it would round off quite the week for her. Scotland do play the final group game next week against Kosovo. They did get the better of Estonia on Tuesday, and they'll play Kazakhstan later on this afternoon. So if they win, which is as expected, Chris, fair to say?
I think we should expect a Kosovo win. They came very close in their qualifying group for the last time at the Euros, and I think the expectation should be ourselves against Kosovo, kind of going head to head in that final game on Monday at Falkirk Stadium.
A straight out duel to get back into Section A for the qualifiers. Remember, Scotland can't get to the finals in Prague this summer. They finished bottom of their group in round one, behind Austria, Netherlands, and more importantly Ukraine, who really spoiled Scotland's hopes with that late equaliser. Ailey Adams actually gave Scotland the lead that day before the last minute goal from Julia Kristiuk, which eventually meant that Ukraine finished above Scotland in the group and relegated us to Section B. But it's all going well in terms of a recovery. Comfortable in over Kazakhstan, looking good at the moment against Estonia, and then we'll see what happens against Kosovo later in the week.
Big week as well just for Scottish women's national teams in general. Obviously the game against Spain on Tuesday night at Hampden. You can get your tickets to the Scottish FA website, and in terms of that impact for the Scottish national team, Hungary are playing one of their qualifiers against the Faroe Islands later on this afternoon, so victory for Hungary will put them within a point of us going into that game against Spain on Tuesday.
Absolutely, it would be quite a turnaround if Scotland can avenge that defeat to Spain at the end of last year. Remember, if you are a member of the Scotland Supporters Club, you can get your tickets for nothing.
Yeah, it's free for Scotland Supporters Club members, £10 for adults and then £5 for under-16s and seniors. So yeah, great chance to go to Hampden and see, as we've just alluded to, a very big challenge for our national side, but also to see some of the best players in the world, and Alexia Putellas, the best player in the world, possibly the Messi of the women's game at the moment, to give a bit of a comparison, which we don't like to do all the time, but I think for context it's good to do.
Yeah, sure. We're not far away from the start of the second half now, and we'll be bringing you live coverage of that when the teams come back out.
I mean, looking at the bench as well, Andy, the only players that haven't had any minutes so far now are Tegan Brown and Grace Mitchell. So it'll be interesting to see if they come on. Tegan a holding midfielder and Grace a full-back, and those are two roles that maybe we'll look to freshen up as the game continues.
Scotland out first. London Pollard probably appreciating that 15 minutes of rest. She did some amount of running in the first half. Loads of joy down the right hand side.
I'm sure that's something that will have been picked up on by Pauline Hamill as well, and the players themselves, in terms of where those joy points were happening. And as the half grew on, London seemed to grow more and more confidence with that, and as we were saying, she was actively choosing to keep a ball in play as opposed to maybe letting it run and do the safe option of letting the ball go out. They're also coming into Scottish Women's Football Awards season, and I imagine Bailey, who's obviously got his degree at the moment, will be one of the players that will be widely tipped to potentially feature quite heavily in that. But there'll be a lot of players going for the Player of the Year and Young Player and Team and all the other awards that are available at this time of the season.
It'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
Big shout from the Estonians, yeah.
If they can start the second half the way that they started the first, they may well get under the skin of the Scots once again. Lula Lister looking for a goal in consecutive Scotland games. Gets the second half underway. Cowan trying to recover into the path of Saulus.
Substitution at half time for Estonia. Off number 10, Christina Tern, replaced by number 7, Lisandro Renasto.
There we go, substitute for the Estonians at half time. Turn off on the left hand side of midfield, replaced by Renasto. Pollard just about gets the bounce of the ball. Past 1 and 2 for the pacey Cowan. His cross is not bad, and it's turned in. Oh, that didn't take long.
That's exactly what you want at the start of the second half, especially after we'd ended the first one so strongly. It's brilliant seeing, obviously, Amy Anderson delighted, as we all are, to see her getting the score sheet. I think that's a reward for a very industrious first half.
3-1 Scotland, and it's Anderson who finishes off the move. It's the first time Cowan's really entered the Estonian final third. Well, she picked her moment, she picked her spot, and there to finish coolly at the back post was Anderson. Just reward for her influence so far.
I mean, that was, as you mentioned, the first time Shona Cowan's really got to that far byline, and I think that's a really good finish from Amy Anderson. She takes it first time, keeps it down, and leaves the Estonian keeper with no chance at all.
If the second was fortuitous, that was the total opposite for Scotland. Broderick looking to send Pollard clear. It's the first time Amy Anderson scored for the Under-19s. A proud moment for her and her family.
You can hear Pauline Hamill saying press, 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 and you can see it's off from the board, and that's got to be a free kick.
I think recognised by Bush that she was very much the culprit.
I mean, it's a smart new top. I don't know if I'd try and take one off of somebody as on the field of play, though.
I'm sure if she asks nicely, London will swap with her. It's Broderick who stands over the free kick. Opts to give it to Hutchison. That's another good cross. Leicester stealing in at the front post, unable to finish. Scotland carving out another opportunity, not too dissimilar to the one they profited from just a few moments ago.
No, not at all. And we've seen a couple of like smart set plays using this line. We did it in the first game against Kazakhstan as well. Great ball from Bailey Hutchison. Again, Layla Lister not quite getting the finish on it you'd be looking for, but you can feel there's more confidence coming from that third goal. Although we were well on top, there seems to be a step up now from Scotland, and we're trying a few things, and we can see the players are moving with a bit more impetus in those final third.
I was expecting Broderick to drop one of those diagonals onto the heads of the Estonian defence there. And she was happy to just gift the ball to Hutchison, let her do the hard work. It's not a responsibility she'll shirk anyway. And that's a tremendous piece of skill to get past Bush. Cut back, not on the same level unfortunately. Broderick encouraged forward. Pollard's got time to turn. Just about keeping possession.
Bailey Hutchison seems intent on tying Bush and knots this second half so far.
Scotland making hay again. Weir afforded time and space, not enough to pick her pass though.
That one didn't quite find her target, but again I've been impressed with the way that she carries the ball in defence. She's not had a lot to do defensively in this game, but when she has the ball she's quick to move with it, and she's looking for that next pass to kind of progress the attack.
Breaks for Bowie. That's clever from Anderson. Accepting the corner.
Feels like really up to fluidity in that final third as well. We've seen Bailey Hutchison pop up on the right, and now she's in the central, and Leah Lister there on the left hand side to try to get involved with the play with Amy Anderson.
She really loves a one-on-one situation in the wing, Amy Anderson. It's a thumping cross almost onto the head of Kenzie Weir.
It's a great cross from Eva Thompson.
And she was talking after her Everton debut earlier in the year how being around the first team has increased her tactical awareness and appreciation of elite level football. Kenzie Weir, such a bonus as well to be able to bring in young women with that insight and experience to the under-19 environment from down south.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously Everton maybe not had the best season ever in terms of their progress in WSL. They've obviously made a significant bit of an investment, but they have just brought in a new coach from Frother Huring, and I think that it'll be very interesting to see how a player like Kenzie progresses, and Layla Lister down at Reading as well. She's had a couple of minutes this season too, so having these players in that WSL academy set up, and it's a different experience from the SWPL, and I think that's the best thing about international squads is you get people coming from different walks of the game and different junctures, and I think that can only help with the development of everybody.
Scotland not hanging around here. Cowan forward once more. Just a bit too close to Chrisman. She had Pollard and Lister looking for the pass.
And absolute acres of space when she made that run. She's also been encouraged to get forward a little bit more this half, and you've seen it already in the opening stages that she's definitely got the ability to get a ball into that area, and yeah, maybe she could have done a little bit better with that shot for sure.
Given her opportunity from the start this evening, Shona Cowan, placing Ari Handley on the right hand side of the defence. She certainly looks in the mood at the start of the second half to make the most of it. That might break on the edge of the box for Hutchison.
You could just see how quickly she came alive there when she saw that loose ball. She she was on her heels and then she was off, and you knew as soon as she was going to get to it, she was hitting it first time.
Our eyes are lighting up at that opportunity for sure. That's gift wrapped for Hutchison, who fancies it alone. Well turned away by Chrisman in the Estonian goal.
Didn't quite get a hold of that one, Bailey. She obviously did well to get on top of the ball and turn the defender inside out. She's obviously tried to maybe outfox the goalkeeper. Keeper's read it, and she's done well to get down and clear that away from Chrisman.
I think she had more time than she recognised as well. But the knife is very much in the Estonians here. Another would twist it, put the game beyond any doubt whatsoever. Thompson delivers again. The synthetic surface helping the ball stay in play for the Estonians. McAllister popping up on the right. Thompson. Another powerful delivery. Lister appealing for the corner. I think she's the one that's been penalised.
You always got to shout for it. If you don't shout for it, you can't get it.
Scotland making a very comfortable start to the second half here at Ainslie Park.
It's great to see it hasn't dropped off either. Sometimes that happens when you get that quick goal in the second half and it puts you in a comfortable position, but you can see how high we're pushing up. Leah Lister on top of the goalkeeper just now, and London Pollard and Eva Thompson and Bailey Hutchison, all the attacking forwards are well deep inside the Estonian half.
Cowan will have done well to catch that one. Roderick once again looking to find the channels for either her or Pollard, who's winning the ball back as we speak. Picked back up by Cowan for Weir. She's not shy in coming forwards.
You can see that confidence can maybe come from her and Jess with that 2-goal advantage. It means they can maybe a bit bolder going. She ran a really good header just when Estonia were looking to counter as well there.
It's flicked on by Lister. Pollard looking to latch on. Trying her best to make something of the opportunity. And the play's been brought back. I think it was Lister who clashed with the Estonian. He seems to be in a bit of discomfort here.
It's one of those ones though, as a Scotland fan, you kind of ask if it's a... Would you be happy if this game was maybe a bit closer and we were approaching goal? But yeah, it looks like it was a bit of a clash there.
Yeah, Lister careering in to Bush it was, who is coming over from left back to try and help out. It was Eva Thompson, I think, in the first half that was booked for a similar high-footed challenge. That one was certainly above waist height from Layla Lister. She was going for the ball, but it's clear to see why Bush is taking a moment here to compose herself.
Seems to be rising herself just now though, but yeah, it's probably a fair stoppage in play, and obviously gives a chance for Bush to kind of gather herself before coming back on by the looks of things.
I think just the wind knocked out her sails there as she was clattered into it. Good to see her back on her feet and okay to carry on. McAllister. No, playground football for Scotland there.
Disappointed she took a third touch. I thought she was going to do it in two.
And the Estonians wise to any avenue to go this time. Given to Thompson. Cowan. Living in the Estonian final third in the second half. They're looking for a rare foray forward here. They've barely crossed the halfway line. And here's Bush back among the fray. And doing well to win the corner far aside.
Yeah, important Scotland don't let anything slip here at the moment. Been very dominant in the second half and obviously got the goal nice and early. But this is an opportunity for Estonia to maybe find a way back into the game after not really looking like there was going to be one back for a large part of this game after they scored that opening goal.
The delivery's decent. And Stalfelt, who stuck one in that goal in the first half inadvertently. This is a really good opportunity to reduce the deficit to 1.
Yeah, it looked like that run went untracked and she's obviously hit it on the volley and it's just gone by the post.
Pollard away from a few, but the passes are straight, as was the Estonians. Picked up by Thompson. They might fancy this alone, and why not? She's had a good game, Eva Thompson. That's well grasped though by Kuzman in the Estonian net.
It's good to see that pressure relieved nice and quickly though after that corner, and Eva Thompson having a shot on target. You can hear Estonia's coach Richard Barnwell, an English coach, who's I think quite involved in the Estonian youth setup for the women's game, and you can hear he's still encouraging the Estonians to get forward because he can feel like there is opportunities there to be taken.
The way to cross. Lotter just wants it away from there. That's funny, the paths that football can take you on. You know, Richard Barnwell for Estonia. Born in the Lake District, spent most of his career, almost the entirety of his career over there in the Baltics. Taking care of the girls' team. As Thompson's shot eventually grasped by Cushman in the net.
Just a wee wobble in the air, just as it got to Cushman, but she's fine now.
Broderick, head in where it hurts. And Bush didn't really like the presence of Pollard and Cowan in her face there.
Just a wee lull for Scotland at the moment after that first 15 minutes, and Estonia just trying to get a wee foothold back in the game, but still very much Scotland's game.
Broderick doesn't need a second invitation. Well kept in by Lister. Pollard's checked her run. It was laid off for Thompson.
There was a really interesting wee movement by London Pollard because she just cleared the way. She checked her run and then that allowed Lister the space when maybe you thought London was going to go into it.
Well, here she goes now. It's a good layoff. Maybe this time for Thompson. It is!
Fantastic finish by Eva Thompson. She's obviously just tried that, maybe a slightly different effort, but getting out of her feet and a really nicely well driven shot into the corner. Great work by London Pollard as well to pick out the pass. She could have driven for goal, but she saw Eva on the edge of the area and it's been really well taken. A really impressive performance by Eva Thompson today.
Industrious in midfield, cool, calm and collected in front of goal. She came close moments ago, did the Aberdeen midfielder. She made no mistake this time. Shifted onto her right and down to the goalkeeper's right.
Fantastic finishing again. London Pollard not letting the ball run out of play. That could have easily gone for a throw in and the attack gone, but she's harried it, she's chased it down and she's put that ball across for Eva Thompson.
Good day for the Aberdonians. Bailey Hutchison with Scotland's first, Eva Thompson with the fourth. I'm sure if she's watching, Emma Hunter will have a smile on her face.
Yeah, Eva's first goal for the Under-19s as well, which is obviously a significant thing for anybody playing for a national side, because I know I'll never score a first goal for the Under-19s for Scotland any longer.
The dream never dies, Chris.
Well, it's over 35 football now, so I've got a chance,
There goes Hutchison again. Scotland going in search of a quick fifth. Pollard's cross, and it's turned home. Oh, it's turning into a rout now for Scotland. Layla Lister nods home the fifth. That's 2-2 for the Reading striker.
Number 9, Layla Lister.
More good play down the right from Pollard as well.
Champagne football. It's as mentioned at the start of the half, getting that third goal, we seem to be really enthused to try more things, and then, as you mentioned, London Pollard 2 assists in the space of a couple of minutes. Layla Lister finally getting a goal, getting in front of Cushman and nodding home for our second in 2 games. And yeah, it's exciting when you see a Scotland team, no matter who it is, when you see a Scotland team playing that kind of football and it's starting to come off. It's great to see, and 5-1 up now. We're comfortable going into this final game.
A real turnaround from the first 10 minutes or so of the game, where the Estonians looked like they might pose a problem or two, but ever since Bailey Hutchison chipped home that equalising goal, the game's only flowed one way, and it's been in Scotland's direction. Four different goal scorers and an OG. I think we're officially in getting in on the act territory now. Still 25 minutes or so to go for anyone to try and add their name to the score sheet.
You can just feel a little extra bit of freedom now in some of the play from some of the players. Obviously having that cushion's helped in that respect, but I think you saw that with both the setups for both goals, and Eva Thompson's first attempt, and then actually her scoring that goal. That maybe wouldn't have happened at 1 each or 2-1, but being in position with advantage we are now, it's great to see, and be interested to see how probably maybe looks to freshen things up, knowing that the big game against Kosovo will be coming on Monday now.
I'm sure she'll want a goal. She's assisted 3. If you can call the own goal 1 an assist.
I'd give that as an assist. Yeah,
I think
so. Yeah.
I'm not actually sure how it works, strictly speaking, with stats and data, etc. But she had the final touch before the Estonian knocked it in, so yeah, why not? So 3 assists for London Pollard. She's been wreaking havoc down the right.
I think what's been really heartening for Scotland in this game as well is in terms of the creative batting. It's been passed around the team. It's not just down one side, which is kind of the case on Tuesday night against Kazakhstan.
It felt also in the first half that the majority of Scotland's attacking play was through Anderson on the left. It's very much the opposite now. I mean, London Pollard is the one driving most of Scotland's intent down the right. Anderson's added her name to the score sheet already. She scored the first goal of the second half. Here goes Thompson, taking matters into her own hands. Well defended by Luther for Estonia.
I think it's worth noting as well that Eva Thompson's one of the youngest players in this squad, and the fact she's coming in and having such an impact already is obviously a great thing to see, and it shows that as the age levels come up, people maybe can jump maybe that little bit earlier than some of the others.
In comes our cross, which is another good one. There's another shot at goal. Anderson, Leicester in the follow-up. McAllister has a crack. Straight into the face of the Estonian number 19, Reno. The game should be stopped here, to be honest, if she's taken a whack to the face, but Scotland are continuing. McAllister. Thompson. Estonia struggling to clear. There's relentless stuff from Pauline Hamill's girls at the moment.
Eva trying to get through all the football hipster tick-offs there with the shin-high socks, and that was an outside of the boot pass as well now.
She's a brave footballer, Eva Thompson. There's 2 definitions of the word really in a football sense. The brave player that flies into tackles, puts their head in where it hurts, and the brave player that's happy to take the ball in any situation and take responsibility. She certainly is the latter. Eva Thompson, she's happy to drive forward from midfield, create, score goals.
I think especially at youth level, that's what you want from your players, especially ones that have designs to be creative and attacking forces in the years to come. And you're right, the bravery on the ball is something that I think has been shown by quite a lot of Scotland players today, which is good to see both in the attacking third and also, as we mentioned earlier on, the progression from the back from Jess and Kenzie.
Here goes Cowan, who's enjoying a much more fruitful second half than first. And they can't all come off for Scotland in attack. That one was in behind for Anderson. Leicester looking to latch on now. It was taking a touch on its way through it.
Something I've been really impressed with Leicester. She seems to get into good positions. He hasn't quite come off for her all the time in this game, but again she puts her body in there, gets the opportunity, and then it's just been covered by the Estonian captain there to take it out for a corner.
Well, the smattering of applause would suggest a Scottish change, and indeed it's Shona Cowan, who's done well in the second half, replaced by Niamh Murphy of Man United under-21s.
Bailey Hutchison leaving the field.
Bailey Hutchison also off.
Replaced by number 5, Robin McCafferty.
And Robin McCafferty on our home turf comes on to replace Bailey Hutchison, who's had a very productive afternoon's work.
You'd imagine with Robin coming on and Bailey going off, there'll be a bit of a rejig.
Kept alive by Broderick. That was intended for Ainslie Adams, who's also entered the fray. We'll just try and confirm in a second who has departed. I would imagine Leicester, if it's Ainslie Adams on, maybe. Let's just have a wee look.
I think it's maybe Kenzie Weir's come off, and that's why Robin McCafferty's dropped back into the centre-back area. Multiple changes at one time always takes a little bit of unpicking.
We'll try and examine the evidence in front of us over the next minute or so. But 3 changes for Scotland anyway. Yes, there is Ainslie Adams. She added herself to the score sheet against Kazakhstan on Tuesday.
Yeah, it has been Kenzie where you can see now the Jess and Robin lining up in the centre-back area and Niamh Murphy going to the full-back side of where Shona Cowan was.
Into the last 20 at Ainslie Park.
Third substitution for Scotland.
Scotland on easy street.
Number 13, Kenzie Weir, has left the field, replaced by number 17, Ainslie Adams.
There you go, Chris, the announcer, a minute behind you.
I'm here to do.
Scotland heading into next week's game against Kosovo. And good nick here.
Yeah, of course, attention will turn to that game later on at Ainslie Park between Kosovo and Kazakhstan. Kosovo victory means both sides will be on 6 points going into that game, and it gives it a big game feel on a Monday afternoon in Falkirk.
Anything else would mean a point would be enough for Scotland against Kosovo. Adams looking to get involved straight away, well anticipated by Chrisman. Remember, Scotland trying to win this group in round 2 of the qualifiers to get back into League A, which would leave them in position to contend for qualification for the next Euros. If you're in League B, you cannot. Scotland were relegated from League A at the end of last year. Looking to bounce back straight away. And looking like they're on the straight and narrow to do just that. It's been a very quiet second half for Rachel Johnston. There's Murphy off the bench. That was a sore one there for the Estonian. I think Winded, you did hear the groan of pain certainly from her. Just an opportunity for the Scotland players to take a breather if they need one, really, because they haven't had to get themselves out of second or third gear in this second half. They've made it look pretty easy to go on and get the third, fourth and fifth goals, Chris.
Yeah, and I think it's the kind of game where you are in the ascendancy and you are playing some really nice football. Being tired probably doesn't come into it as much as it would do if you were maybe slogging your way through a game. It was a bit of a battle and you just kind of enjoy having the ball at your feet, and you kind of want it, and you can see that all the Scotland players are looking for it now. They were very much on the ascendancy and we're all looking comfortable going into the final stages. Though a little bit of cramp there, picking into the squad for Eva Thompson.
I think if there's one player in Scotland's midfield who's going to suffer from that, it probably would be Eva. She looks in a great deal of discomfort here, the Estonian. It's Gromov who's on the ground. You can actually hear how much discomfort she's in, which isn't very pleasant at all. Change for Scotland.
Substitution for Scotland of number 20, Tegan Bowie, replaced by number 14, Grace Mitchell.
There you go, Tegan Bowie has put in a shift on the left hand side, heads off, and on comes Grace Mitchell. Her first appearance of the camp, Chris.
Yeah, it is indeed, and her sister's not in the squad, but both play down south at Bristol Academy. So yeah, it's good to see, as you say, players getting minutes, and that's what games like this and moments like this give opportunities to Pauline Hamill to do, which I'm sure will certainly help with the squad dynamic as well, and that everybody's getting a bit of game time at the moment.
This is a public announcement. Could Zach Bowman please come
Pollard
to the clubhouse at the bottom of the stairs?
given the opportunity to hit the byline again. Not too dissimilar to the one that Anderson actually put away at the start of the half. Couldn't repeat the trick.
I think there's a little bit of fear in the Estonian backline now when London Pallard runs at them. You can see they were stepping off a little bit that time instead of engaging with her in the tackle, and it made the crossbar a little bit easy for her. And as you say, very similar to the goal that Amy did put away. She didn't quite manage it that time, but again, nice to see us breaking through that defensive line.
The Estonians freshening things up as well for the final 15 minutes or so. A couple of their players have been in the wars this afternoon. Gabriella Bruch heads off. She was the one that felt the full force of Layla Lister earlier on. So 2 changes for the Estonians. They must surely recognise this game's long gone for them. Minutes in the legs for some of the fringe players.
Third substitution for Estonia, number 20, Ragnar Gromov, replaced by number 13.
In fact, Gromov, who was the one on the turf just moments ago, is also off. It looked like she took a sore one to kind of the upper chest, lower neck area when she was heading off. She was certainly spluttering.
Initially I thought it would just be maybe like a ball to the stomach, one of those gut punches at window, but she says she was kind of coughing and splitting coming off, so hopefully she's okay and she'll be fit for our last game against Kazakhstan.
And Nips Anderson, you don't want to give her the opportunity to do that. There's Adams. Thompson seems okay now. Murphy on the left. Well cleared in the end by Lear. Well, who fancies getting their name on the score sheet here then? Neely Adams has entered the fray. Not Thompson's best delivery. Pollard innocuously giving away the free kick in her haste to win the ball back.
You can hear Pauline Hamill just encouraging them a little bit further. We've obviously played at quite a high tempo this second half, and keen that it doesn't peter out a little bit. It's good to continue the momentum going into this final game, and Leila Lister, they're doing well to win the ball.
And play is waved on. Lister going for another. Straight down the throat of Nussman.
Did really well to win the ball there. The Estonian defender looking for a foul for the handoff, and maybe needing a bit of treatment just now. But when the referee plays on, you kind of expecting Leila to put that away, and again maybe not the finish he was looking for.
Caught in two minds. Do I go near post? Do I go far post? In the end, made it rather easy for the Estonian goalkeeper. She had a good game though. Already has her name on the score sheet to make it 2-2. And off goes Eva Thompson for Scotland, who can be very happy with her output this afternoon. And Tegan Browning, the last player in the under-19 camp to enter the field of play.
Might see Rebecca McAllister move up a little bit with Tegan coming on. She's normally a centre back or centre defensive midfielder, but we'll see how it goes. Obviously with Scotland in the ascendancy, it may be a chance to just kind of rotate around a little bit, but as you say, great that everybody's now getting some minutes going into this final game.
Another Hearts player on the field for Scotland. We mentioned earlier how players from Hearts and Aberdeen have made up the bulk of the starting 11 this afternoon. Lister does really well. It might come all the way through. It wouldn't sit for Mitchell.
You can see she was thinking about hitting it and it just bounced that bit too high.
Too high for Lister as well. Scotland not giving Estonia an inch even in the final 10 minutes with this game long gone. Good interplay between Pollard and Mitchell. Well, they did the hard bit. Nobody knew what was next.
And obviously, going into the last game, they hope that we beat Kosovo and make it 3 wins out of 3, but knowing that Kosovo is still to play Kazakhstan, who we beat 3-0 on Tuesday night, goals are going to be important, so it's good to see that we are pushing to try and add to that tally.
That may well be the message, actually, Chris, from Pauline Hamill. Well, there's a bigger picture at play rather than players just wanting to add a tally to their goal count for the national team. And Pauline Hamill has said she's been heartened by the amount of regular game time a lot of her squad are getting at various SWPL clubs. And they look like a cohesive unit this afternoon. Mitchell, one of the ones up from down south, didn't have the legs to keep it in play.
I think as well it's what will be heartening for Pauline, I think we touched on it Tuesday as well, which is that these players are getting minutes, but they're getting minutes and making impacts. It's not a case of players who are maybe getting game time to make up numbers. They're key players for their sides, and that can only benefit that when it especially comes into international caps and they're playing in these games, these qualifiers with aspirations of moving up the ladder.
I think as well, when you have players coming from similar backgrounds or clubs, it's easier to then transition onto the international field. We saw it with the men's team a few years ago, didn't we, when Gordon Strachan had 6 or 7 Celtic players in his team. They all know each other's games. That'll be the same here for the girls from Aberdeen, the girls from Hearts, and having a pre-understanding on the pitch before they even go on.
And a lot of this side will play together at under 17 level as well, and that's part of the process when it comes up to coming through the ranks for any national side. So there's a lot of discussion with the Accelerator game programme just now that's underway, and maybe bridging that gap to the national team. But at the moment, this is definitely heartening to see that after a bump in terms of the relegation into League B, that we have attacked these 2 games in the right manner and really been full value for our 2 victories so far.
There goes Murphy. Might come through for Pollard, who's due a goal. And that really nicely rounds everything off for Scotland. 3 assists, not enough for London Pollard. She had to get one herself. And a composed finish makes it 6-1 to the hosts.
And that's maybe the finish that London Pollard's got honed best in her arsenal. That instinctive, just have a swing and have a goal, like no thinking time, has hit. And the keeper coming out and wasn't able to stop it. And yeah, fantastic to see London Pollard get her goal, and 2 goals in 3 games for her as well. And we have a really exciting attacking lineup just now for Scotland with London Pollard, Leah Lister, Ainslie Adams, Bailey Hutchison. It's great to see goals come from different places as well. We're not relying on one player too.
There's goals this afternoon for players from Hearts, Aberdeen and Motherwell. Really being shared around the SWPL at international level here. I genuinely think Rachel Johnston has touched the ball twice in the second half. It's been all Scotland here.
She'll be thinking she's back up in Stornoway, just an island to herself in the second half. But yeah, any time, obviously for a goalkeeper, you want to be involved, but at the same time, for a team performance like the less touches the goalkeeper has in the ball, the better the performance has been. In this second half in particular, we've really taken the game to Estonia and just not been able to have a response.
Well, Estonia seem to have used up all their energy in the opening 10 minutes. Got the goal for their endeavours. And Scotland have turned it round and then some. Maybe not content with 6. It's 7. Ainslie Adams. Surprise, surprise. Off the bench and onto the score sheet. She normally does. And Scotland are turning this into a real exhibition.
Goal, birthday cake goal. What a week for Ainslie Adams. Again, good pressure from Scotland to harry off the ball. She's nipped in there to get the ball and then taken it inside and just opened up her body and curled it into that far corner. Yeah, great to see. Goal, as I said, goal spreader out, and another player adding their name to the goal tally.
Another SWPL player gets her name on the score sheet. It's Ainslie Adams of Hibs. I think the Estonians just want the final whistle ASAP here. Scotland would happily play for another half hour, I'm sure.
I think there's something that's maybe it hasn't come across as well, is that depth from the bench for Scotland compared with Estonia. We've talked about the fact Estonia have made some changes and we made some changes, but I think for Scotland, the players that we've come on, you can make a case that they'd be quite comfortable in the starting lineup as well, and I think that's heartening to see.
Mitchell warned about the press. This one from Browning. Murphy under no pressure whatsoever. I think Pauline Hamill as well has been keen to highlight the pathway to the women's A squad from the youth teams. I suppose if you look back at fairly recent players that have come through the Scotland youth teams into the first team, it wasn't so long ago that Erin Cuthbert, for example, was scoring for the Under-19s.
You can even see it now with some of the recent call-ups like Leah Eddy at Hibs, and Amy Muir's out injured at the moment, but she's also featured for the national side, and Jenna Clark, who scored on her debut against the Fairwinds at Hampden. So there is that progression there if the players can make that step up. We've talked about earlier on how it's a big step to make, but the fact that we've got a team performing well at this level can only help with that progression.
And Kirsty Hansen scored at the 2017 finals as well. Scotland did host the 2019 version of the tournament. Lost 2-1 to eventual winners France in the group stage. 91st minute goal from Naomi Feller. And prevented Scotland from picking up a really valuable and famous point.
Lauren Davison, the goal scorer that day as well, another player who's gone on to be capped for the national side. So if you make an impact, the opportunity is there.
Pollard looking for Lister. Wonder if the referee will perform an act of mercy here when the clock hits 90. How much added time will be played? The Estonians really struggling to string two passes together. Late pop at goal though, and wow, from nothing almost finding their second of the game.
It's kind of let loose with their swinger there, and it floated almost into the just underneath the crossbar, but it's got to get clear. Another Estonian player down.
Yes, it was Parn whipping out the pitching wedge on Masters Week, almost fooling Johnston. And that was Hudsey on the ground. She's the one that got it all off and running this afternoon. No, she was a beating goalkeeper, Johnston. Relieved to see that cannon off her crossbar. The 90 played at Ainslie Park. Scotland will be rewarded with 3 points for a very accomplished and professional performance this afternoon. Here comes Nussman with the unconventional save, and even she can afford a smile as this game very much enters the dying embers. Pollard still putting on the afterburners in stoppage time. Across and out of Adam's reach.
It's been relentless from London Power today. Once she kind of got her eye in terms of that left hand side and right hand side, she's just been unstoppable, and Estonia have just not known how to handle her.
Do we have time to vote for a player of the match, Chris? I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, I think we do. Eva Thompson obviously impressed very much, and Bailey Hutchison again with their impact, but we've just spoke about her there. 3 assists. We're giving her that assist for the own goal, and then to get the goal herself, I think it's been a fantastic performance by London Power. So for me, she'd be player of the match for me from this one.
There we go, she has been all over the Estonians in the second half. The referee feeling no compassion towards the visitors. Like it or lump it, they'll play their stoppage time. There's Mitchell giving away the free kick. There we go, London Pollard, man of the match. No, player of the match, sorry. She's been so dangerous down the right hand side. And it did look for a while, Chris, that she wasn't going to get her goal, but she was there.
There was something I picked up in the Kazakhstan game as well. She's added this element of determination to keep going in her play that when she first broke through it for Farmington maybe wasn't there, and the fact that she just now, I think here we go again, she's just looking to chase that down was never going to quite get there, but it's great to see.
All 3 of Scotland's starting attackers on the score sheet. Anderson, who's been quieter in the second half since she scored, to be fair. Lister as well. And then Pollard scoring the 6th. And then striker off the bench too. Hayley Adams making it 7. We'll see what happens between Kazakhstan and Kosovo in a little while. They'll play at Ainslie Park here as well. If Kosovo win, it'll be a straight shootout between Scotland and Kosovo next week for who finishes top of the group and gets promoted back to Section A of the European qualifiers. Maria McInerney, Addie Handling, outfield players not involved this afternoon. I'm sure they can count on more game time next week. And they both did play against Kazakhstan on Tuesday. Alicia Yates, the goalkeeper, who was swapped for Rachel Johnston this afternoon, as well, remaining on the bench.
Yeah, it's been 2 good performances from Scotland, so how Pauline Hamill decides to tackle this Kosovo game will be interesting to see, because I think lots of players have maybe maintained the cases. You've seen a couple have stayed in the starting lineup for both these games, but you can maybe look and say, like, Eva Thompson's probably a good example, somebody who's come into this game today after not getting many minutes on against Kazakhstan on Tuesday, and really making a case for being involved in that side for what will be the crucial game for us in this group.
Well controlled by Murphy, who's looking for the 1-2 and gets it. Does Scotland have time for an 8th? Well, they would have, had that been on target from substitute Niamh Murphy. And it's the last kick of the ball at Ainslie Park. A routine win for Pauline Hamill's girls. A game that started with threat and trepidation, turning into a superb, accomplished second half performance. And from the moment that Amy Anderson stuck the 3rd in at the start of the second half, Scotland didn't look back, and Chris Marshall, it was absolutely one-way traffic. Yeah, they put the afterburners on after that 3rd goal went in, and yeah, it was great to watch a Scotland side like that. We don't get to do it very often, and when we do, we should celebrate it. So yeah, maybe the opposition will face tougher challenges for sure, but to score 7 goals, it's a fantastic achievement. And as you mentioned, the fact that all our strikers got on the score sheet as well, and we saw players who maybe didn't start the last game starting this game, making impacts is great, and it gives options for Pauline Hamill going into the Kosovo game, and whatever that may bring depending on the result between them and Kazakhstan this evening. Well, the goals shared around for Scotland, 6 different scorers and an OG from Starfelt, the Estonian centre mid. Let's take a look back at the best of the action. And the game certainly didn't start the way that Scotland would have hoped to. I think we're just going to nip into the second half action though. And there's Amy Anderson.
Fantastic finish by Amy, and Shona Cowan in that first 5-10 minutes of the second half really started to hit the byline, and to put that cross in and Amy to guide that into the net was fantastic stuff.
And it was just reward for her influence in the first half as well, Amy Anderson. She was giving the Estonians plenty to worry about down the left hand side.
And then another bit of smart set piece play. Bailey Hutchison, again influential throughout the game, putting the ball in, and then for this one, Leah Lister just couldn't quite convert it into the corner.
She was tremendous all afternoon, Hutchison, picking up the loose pass, unable to finish on that occasion. Significantly easier chance than the one she actually scored from.
Here's one of the Pollard assists, again harrying to get that ball in, and then moments after trying to do something similar, Eva Thompson sticks it into the bottom corner. From
the moment she created the space for herself, it never looked in doubt, that finish, to be honest.
And a very, very well earned goal as well for her performance.
And it was just at this point that Pollard was really starting to enjoy herself on the right hand side. It was very quickly after Thompson's goal that Scotland went and added a 5th. Leila Lister. More good midfield play from Scotland. And what a measured cross from Pollard, right onto the head of Lister.
Again, neat from Eva Thompson to put that ball out to Pollard, and she puts in. And when later Lister gambles, she goes to the ball, and the Estonian defence are on the heels, and she beats the keeper to it to put the 5th one in. Big love for the guy on his phone behind celebrating.
It was an enjoyable watch this afternoon for sure. Lister did have the opportunity to grab a second. Tame finish after doing well to intervene the keeper's clearance. And it was Pollard. All she needed was one touch. And you mentioned Chris, she is probably more lethal in front of goal when she's got less time to think about what she's going to do.
Yeah, I think sometimes when London has 2 or 3 options in her head, she can be a bit indecisive. But in this instance, she capitalised her mistake, put herself in the right position, and tucked it away really well. And that's kind of finished it a lot in that kind of mid-range from goal.
And that really was the cherry on the cake for her performance. But 6 wasn't enough. Still felt dawdling, and Ailey Adams profiting. Swaggering back towards our teammates as if it was nothing, making the finish look easy on the week of our 18th birthday.
Yeah, it was good to nip in then, as you say, get in front of Staffel, and then even though she was slipping as she hit it, she still put it exactly where she was looking to put it to go.
Well, there's a tremendous watch from a Scottish point of view. Thanks very much for joining us on the socials this afternoon. We've been live on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter, and we've enjoyed a superb Scotland Under-19 women's performance. They've thrashed the Estonians 7-1.